succumb to the lobbyists for illegal drugs or the false promises. Idaho outlawed marijuana possession in 1927. We are keeping it that way, and a bit higher fine will keep us from becoming Washington or Oregon State. One positive of other states legalizing marijuana is we can now see better the effects of such laws. We have data. Weed potency of the 1960s was only a fraction of what the now scientifically produced marijuana holds. Sellers of legal marijuana in other states now advertise 99% potency for some of their product by lacing the marijuana with straight THC. The marijuana sold now puts a user under the influence, which is impaired from driving only after a couple of drags on a joint, or one joint or a small amount of edibles. Is the marijuana like alcohol? It is not. A commercial airline pilot can drink a lot of alcohol and be safe and sober in 8 hours after his or her last drink, and legally allowed to fly a 767 jet airliner with hundreds of passengers. The half-life of alcohol is a matter of hours. The half-life of marijuana is much, much longer. Marijuana can impair driving a motor vehicle, fly an airplane, or operate dangerous machinery for a week. This means a fellow driving a car or operating heavy machinery is impaired for days after using. The actual effect of having marijuana legal and available 24/7 or de facto legal because fines are too low is to have more impaired drivers on the roads and at the places of work. In states where legalized marijuana, auto accidents and fatalities increase substantially. Ask your local police. 12% of all traffic fatalities involve drivers who tested positive for marijuana in states with legalized marijuana. Follow the science. Science now tells us that teenagers who use marijuana suffer permanently from brain injury and personal defects. Regular marijuana use changes the brain function at any age. Regular use increases symptoms of bipolar disorder, depression, paranoid thinking, violent tendencies, and domestic abuse. Since 2005, 60 mass shootings have been perpetrated by marijuana users. I'm not saying that all people who use marijuana are murderers or likely to be. Want to take an edge off suicide statistics? Suicide attempts are increased 7-fold in regular users, 5 times greater for completed suicides. California police raids for taxes on illegal marijuana grows. We have had some testimony in
this guy.
Excuse me.
Oh boy, can't read your notes, buddy?
Let me move on a little further. Let's look at the cost of
You
for
can't
the
read
user.
it. Normally, you can't.
The average
read
cost of an ounce of marijuana in Idaho is $240, while the THC
Why
concentrate
doesn't,
sold
Betsy
in
stop
Ontario,
that?
pot
chew
shots
out,
average
others.
$50 per gram, and there's 28
I
grams an
think he
ounce.
has
This
in
means
the
that
past.
an ounce of
He's given this
concentrate
guy
has a
some
value of
leeway
$1,400.
to
3
read
ounces would be
Whereas
$4,200.
somebody else, like
and still a misdemeanor in Idaho. A $300 fine is minor in comparison. Every dollar spent on pot is money, not spent on food, clothing, school supplies, real medicine, or housing.
Boyle.
Let's keep Idaho. Vote for this bill and give a bit more deterrence for the normalization of marijuana use. Senators, I respectfully request that you pass this legislation off the floor of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. President. Debate is open.
Mr. President, to debate in favor.
Oh, of course.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, you used to hear not too long ago that marijuana was harmless.
Yeah.
It's kind of a recreational drug.
I was in Germany
and it was not a gateway drug.
And
it didn't lead to increased drug usage. And there was a push to consider marijuana to be, I guess, socially acceptable.
Marijuana leaf in the window,
degree.
and I talked to this one
Well,
young
one
couple.
only needs to look at our neighboring states to see the effect of marijuana.
You go in there in that
It's
store
been a
and buy
disaster.
marijuana?
Do
He
we
says,
want that
no, it's too
disaster
expensive
here
in there. We
in our
just
great
grow
state
it
of
on
Idaho?
our apartment
No,
patio.
we don't. Idaho is going about this drug situation in the proper way. We're drawing the line in the sand and saying no.
And Air Force, what
Marijuana
did you do there?
is
Is it
a
just a guard
gateway
or
drug,
something, or
and it is
MP?
harmful. You know, I used to patrol a major university campus in a different life,
Oh, you were
and I
a cop,
tracked
huh?
students from their freshman year through their graduation, their senior year. And
Well,
I
let's
talked to
criminalize. Let's
many of
throw all these
them about drug
600,000
usage, particularly
youngsters
marijuana,
in jail
because
so
marijuana
that
is easy to
they have
obtain. It's pretty much
felony
everywhere.
And as Nixon realized
And those
in
students
1974,
volunteered to
hey,
me
these guys can't vote.
that they
The ones that came
noticed
back
a
from
dramatic
Vietnam,
change
1
in
in
their
5,
drive,
because of the enemy
their
supplying them with
willpower,
drugs,
their
came back
ambition,
addicted.
their
But
ability
not only
to
to
think,
marijuana, but to
the ability to set goals
cocaine
and
and
believe
heroin.
in their own
And
future.
I know because I was
And they
in Germany.
blamed it on protracted
And when I was
marijuana
there,
usage.
we didn't have
This
any
is
drugs
a
at all.
dangerous,
in the 60s.
insidiously dangerous drug.
And in the 70s, all the planes
Good
that came
for
back
Idaho
from
for
Southeast
standing up. This
Asia
bill is very
had
reasonable
drugs in them.
in its application,
headed
and I
to the
fully
United
support
States.
it, and I
And
encourage
1 out
you
of
to
5
vote yes. Thank you,
veterans
Mr.
of
President.
Vietnam
Thank you. Is there further
were
debate?
addicted to drugs.
Mr. President.
Senator Lakey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, we're different in Idaho.
Yeah, right.
We're different
Sure.
because we take stands like this that we do not support the use of illegal drugs, particularly marijuana.
And you're a lawyer
People
because you
come
throw a lot
here
of them
to
in
Idaho
jail.
because
right?
we
Or,
are
you know,
different.
you make a lot of
They
money
come here
as a
because
result
we're a great place
of
to
these,
live and to raise
youngsters
a
getting
family,
elected
and we
or
have
getting
safer
arrested.
communities.
Yeah.
Other states that have taken
Yeah,
a softer
Lakey.
approach
Yeah.
to illicit drugs and legalized
Yeah, we have
marijuana
too many lawyers in the
have seen
legislature.
the impacts, increased in property crimes, increase in violent crimes.
Yeah, that's a bunch
Senators,
of
we are
baloney.
not Oregon, we're not
It's
Washington.
legalized in
I want to
Washington,
thank
Oregon,
the senator
Canada.
from mine
You know,
for
they
bringing
got
this.
39
He's seen
million
those
people up there.
effects
Montana.
closer than any of us. The difference
Say
between
Nevada,
Ontario and
Utah
Payette is
too.
stark.
They have limited.
This helps establish, Senators,
Colorado,
that we do
and
not
the other
support
thing is that the
illicit drug use in Idaho,
amount of
specifically
taxes
marijuana,
that come in
and it further
as
plants
a
that
result
flag in the ground that we
Colorado,
are
you know, he's
different.
not talking
We're a
about
great place
that.
to live and raise
Right
a
now, the
family.
schools need
I'd ask for
taxes
your aye vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
to help the
Is there
the
further
schools.
debate?
Mr. President.
Senator Winthrop.
Thank you, Mr. President, to debate against the bill. I don't think anyone denies that, already that drugs are illegal and that marijuana carries is illegal in Idaho. But I think the important thing here is not basically discussing the detriment of marijuana, et cetera, but we do know that research studies show that fines are not always a deterrent to behavior. And we know that legislation was pressed in another year that had the fine actually at $420, and that didn't go, and now we're at $300. So I'm wondering about the arbitrary nature of where we're setting the fine. Already established in Idaho Code 181113, punishment for a misdemeanor, you'll see that any misdemeanor offense is punishable by imprisonment in a county jail not exceeding 6 months or a fine not exceeding $1,000. So currently, right now in Idaho, if somebody is caught with a drug, marijuana, it's a misdemeanor. The judge has the discretion to charge up to $1,000 and punishable in jail as well. So I do think it is important to give judges discretion to look at the evidence, to look at the weight of the case, to see what's going on, and to be able to determine, is it a lesser fine or even a greater fine? But to set a mandatory minimum, again, takes discretion from our judges and probably isn't the most appropriate way to deter behavior that we want to deter. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there further debate? Hearing none. Senator Shippey, you're recognized to close the debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. As many of you know, my district, District 9, borders the Oregon the entire length, and This is something that my constituents care a lot about, is the marijuana flowing over onto our side of the border. And so that was when this bill was brought to me, I was immediately on board with that.
55,000 in your legislative district. And you say all 20,000?
That we have removed, in really every case, we have removed an element of judge's discretion in that we set a maximum penalty. We don't just leave it completely up to the judge to decide. We say you may not go beyond here. And so we set mandatory maximums, and we have that authority as the legislature to do that. And so I don't think it's out of bounds at all, or removing judge's discretion really to set a mandatory minimum.
Yeah, but the thing is that they got to pay at least $1,000 plus this. It's hard enough.
I wanted to thank the good senators from District 6 and District 23 for
it's time to end the war on
favorable
drugs.
debate.
We sent too many people to prison for this stuff.
And I would like to thank the senator from 19 for her debate as well. And with that, Mr. President, debate is closed.
Thank you, Senator. Debate is closed. The question before the Senate is,
how's that guy get
shall
elected
House Bill
anyway?
number 7 pass the Senate? Senate Secretary will poll the members.
Adams. Anthon. Burnt. Bjerke. Blaylock. Burtenshaw. Carlson. Cook. Den Hartog. Foreman. Galloway. Grow. Guthrie. Harris. Hart. Kaiser. Cole. Lakey. Lenny. Lent. Nichols. Okonowitz. Robbie. Ricks. Rupte. Seminoff. Shippey. Taylor. Taves. Van Orden. Ward Engelking.
Mr. President, 60 seconds.
Senator Ward Engelking, you have 60 seconds to explain your vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. To be consistent, I oppose any bill that contains a mandatory minimum, so the senator will be voting nay.
Senator Ward Engelking votes nay.
Wintrow. Woodward. Cito. Seiderveld. Cook.
Senator Burtenshaw, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Okay.
Guthrie.
Mr. President, 60 seconds.
Senator Guthrie, you have 60 seconds to explain your vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't dispute the ills of marijuana use. I think the thing we have to remember, it's already illegal. And I've been tentative to embrace mandatory minimums as well. And I think each case can be different. And I think to take away judge discretion is not something I'm comfortable with on this particular issue. Senator votes no.
Senator Guthrie votes
Good on you.
Nichols.
Mr. President, 60 seconds.
Senator Nichols, you have 60 seconds to explain your vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will go ahead and support this. I will be voting for this. I do just want to point out that I think we need to start looking beyond just the fines and see what kind of preventative measures we can really put into place, and then go back to this and see if this is making a difference.
Jails,
I think that's one thing that I'm learning more and more, is that we need to revisit some of these things that we passed and see how they're working. How are they affecting the people in Idaho? Are they working, or is there things that we need to tweak? So I would like to revisit this again soon, and I wish there was some mechanism put into place here just so that we could make sure that we do that. But let's see how it goes, and so I will be voting
Martin Luther King says you can't legislate morality.
Senator Nichols votes aye.
You seem to want to do that.
The vote count shows 27 in favor with 8 against. A majority having voted in the affirmative, House Bill number 7 has passed the Senate. Hearing no correction of title, the title is approved, and the bill will be returned to the House.